All right, now let's talk about Daisy UI. Daisy UI is a very popular component library for Tailwind. It's kind of like Bootstrap for Tailwind. So if you head over to daisyui.com, you can see all these components. For example, we have accordions, alerts, we have breadcrumbs, buttons, cards, carousel, chat bubbles, and so on. Very, very useful. It's very easy to use. So let's go to the installation page. First, we have to install Daisy as a development dependency. So I'm going to copy this line. Now back in VS Code, I've opened my terminal window. You can open it from terminal, new terminal. Now let's paste that. Good. Next, we should add Daisy as one of the plugins of Tailwind. So we should go to Tailwind configuration file in the root of our project. So that is right here. Currently, there are no plugins. So let's copy this line and paste it here. That's literally all we have to do. Now let's see how we can use these components. So as an example, we're going to look at the button component. So here we have a bunch of classes like BTN, BTN neutral, BTN primary, secondary, and so on. Exactly like Bootstrap. Under the hood, these classes use Tailwind. So instead of us manually combining a bunch of small Tailwind classes to create a button, we can just use the button that comes with Daisy. And of course, we can always customize these buttons, okay? So to create a button, look, we should have an example down here. There you go. This is just a basic button. We also have neutral, primary, secondary, and so on. So back to our code. Let's style this component that we created earlier, add to cart. So here we have a button. We set class name to BTN, BTN-primary. We don't have to import anything in this file, okay? Now back to the homepage. Here's what we get. Let's remove this blue background because it looks kind of odd. So we're going to go back to product card.tsx, and I'm going to remove all these Tailwind classes. Okay, so here's what we are left with. Now in Daisy, we have the concept of themes. For example, if you look at this page, themes, you can see all the available themes. Now in this lesson, I'm going to use a theme called winter. And you can always preview these themes. So on the top, you can select them and see what your application looks like. Here's the dark mode. Here we have the cupcake theme and so on. Now, to use a theme, there are two steps we have to follow. First, we have to go in Tailwind configuration file and add this section for Daisy UI. So here we activate the themes we want to use. So let's copy this section and go back to Tailwind config.ts. Right after plugins, we paste this. So we have Daisy UI, we have themes. I don't want to use any of these. I only want to use the winter theme. The second step is to apply this theme on our HTML element. So back in the documentation, look, here we have a data attribute for specifying the theme. To do that, we have to go to our layout file because this is where we have our HTML element. So we set data-theme to winter. Now back to our homepage, our button looks blue. Beautiful. Now let's go to the users page and put these users inside a table. So let's go to the users page and replace this unordered list with a table. So we select this and press Command and D on Mac or Control and D on Windows to activate multiple cursors. Now we can change these two elements in one go. So we change it to a table. Then we press Escape to deactivate multiple cursors. Now inside this table, we want to have a T-head. Inside the T-head, we want to have a TR. And inside the TR, we want to have two TH elements. Let's press Tab. Here's our markup. Beautiful. Now here we want to have two columns. The first one is user name. The second is user email. Now after the T-head element, we should add a T-body. Then we move mapping our users inside T-body and replace li with TR. So once again, we press Command and D on Mac or Control and D on Windows to change both these elements in one go. So let's change it to TR. Now inside this TR, we want to have two TH elements. So TH times 2. Let me put it on a separate line. Good. In the first TH, we want to render user.name. In the second, we want to render user.email. Now, currently, we don't have email in the interface that we defined for our users. That is why we get a compilation error. So this is another benefit of using TypeScript. The TypeScript compiler tells us about these issues before we run or deploy our application. We can catch these errors at compile time or even while coding. So up here, we have the user interface. Let's add an email property of type string. Now, the error goes away. Lovely. So back to the browser. Here's what we get. Now let's apply a couple of classes from Daisy to make this table look a little bit nicer. So back to our code. Here's our table. We set class name to table and table-bordered. And of course, you can find these in the documentation for the table component in Daisy UI. Okay, this is much better. Now, I made a mistake earlier. When rendering these rows, I used the TH element. That is why they appear as bold, but we should use TH only as the column of our tables. So let's change all of these TH elements to TD. Once again, we select one of them and we press Command and D to select more of them. So now we have 4 cursors. Let's change all of them to TD. Okay, here's what we get. Now we no longer need the timestamp, so let's remove it from here as well. Good. So we're done for now. In the next section, we're going to talk about routing and navigation in more detail.